Welcome to Move, Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started. Hey, it's Dr. Dwain Woode. Welcome back to Move, Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. You've heard me say before that it's not about the workout, it's not about the walking, it's about finding space to be able to walk and to be able to exercise. And in that process, we learn. And so today we want to talk about embodying this concept of move. What does that really mean? And how does that really fit into all that we're doing? Once again, I'm here on the campus of Oakwood University, which is my alma mater. I spend a lot of time here for lots of different reasons. But we're going to take a look at a different part of the campus today. We're going to walk to a different part of the campus. If you've been following me, you've probably seen some of this before, but I really like this area that we're heading over to. It's a nice sunny day, but not too hot, a little breezy. So you may hear some of the wind going by. So as we talk about moving, as we talk about what we're doing, do you know that the body actually likes movement? The body learns from movement. And so I want to talk a little bit about why we learn in motion. One of the fun things that I get to do is I get to watch my son and listen to him play the piano. Sometimes I'm not watching because he'll say, "Hey, Daddy, go out there." But I remember when we first started taking piano lessons, it was a chore to get him to actually do the lessons, to get on the piano, to practice. And so he kept doing it. And of course, we insisted, we pressed. And he's older now. And he's had a keyboard for quite a bit of time. We have a piano. That's one that my wife had when she was growing up. And so he practiced on that. Then we got him a keyboard. And most recently, we got him a huge, what I think is huge, but I guess it's a full one, keyboard that he has in his room. And so we'll hear him in there just playing. We no longer have to press. We no longer have to push. He gets in and he plays. And the more he plays, the better he gets. And in fact, when we talked to his piano teacher several years ago, one of the things that I used to do, which they told me not to do, was I would push for him to get the book, practice the scales, all the stuff that they told me to do when I was a kid that I didn't like. But his teacher said, "Hey, just let him play what he wants to play. Let him play what he likes to play. And he'll get good at that, and the other things will come. And we still have to kind of guide." And so we did that. We kind of let him do his thing. And do you know that he plays more when we don't tell him to play than he does now, than when we did tell him to play? Yeah, it's an interesting process. But I tell you that story because he's developed what we term muscle memory. So he's practiced for such a long time now that his fingers go to the keys that they're supposed to go to. He has his span of his hands and his fingers, and when he's doing the chords and he's playing different combinations. And so our body likes to have a rhythm to it. It likes to have that muscle memory. And it is in the process, each of the times that we're doing something, it's in the process of remembering. So it likes to have a structure that's not variable. There's so much that goes on in our body, and we've talked about this here, that is rhythmic. That is, and I'm trying to find a different word, but I can't really find a different word. It's homeostatic. The body likes to be the same. In fact, most of the systems that function in the body, the function of them when things get dysregulated is to bring us back into balance. In fact, I'm a hormonal doctor. I treat people who have hormonal dysfunctions. I'm an endocrinologist. And so whenever there's a dysfunction, that's the goal, to get it back to the same, to figure out what went wrong, what went awry. And so just like the body wants to get back to the same, it also thrives on the process of learning in motion. Okay? So it's not just what we do when we're working, it's how things are going. Okay, hold on a second. Let me make a change here. So it's not just about what we do when we're doing things, when we move. It's about what we're learning. So our brains learn, and we're familiar with that, because we go to school, we take classes, but our bodies also learn. And that's a prime example of him being on the keyboard, and now his body has learned, his fingers have learned. He doesn't have to think about it as much anymore, okay? So let's talk a little bit about what it means when the body is learning. I was on the campus at Oakland University earlier and had to leave. And so you saw, or you may have seen me start one of our episodes and then had to take off. But I'm back and excited about what we're doing. And I want to talk about something interesting, and it is the body's penchant for learning with movement. You've heard me say that it's not just about movement of our body, it's also movement of our minds. When my son was growing, we had to continually push him to go practice the piano. And so we changed our tactics and we let him basically practice what he wanted. In fact, at his last recital, one of the things that his teacher said was that, he doesn't always do what she tells him to do in terms of playing. And so the piece that he was going to play at the recital was one that he had constructed. He had taken pieces from different pieces of music, and he'd put it together. Anyway, and he'd rephrased it and whatever he needed to do. And so now we have to sometimes tell him to go to bed, right? Because we're here in the house and it's late and we're hearing music. Like, is that the radio? Well, no, that's him playing. He's in this room playing. And so when I watch him play, there's an interesting thing of watching someone who's been practicing something for a while. When I see him play, his fingers move like my fingers don't move. And they go to the keys without him thinking. And his span is just right to hit certain keys and certain chords and certain notes. And when I go to sit, I've got to think about it. I've got to stretch this and stretch that. And his body has adapted. His body remembers now. He has muscle memory of where his fingers are supposed to go. And to listen to him play and to see him play, he now functions like a musician. His hands move like someone who's been practicing. His fingers, aren't. You can tell when somebody's trying to practice or trying to play the piano. You can tell when someone plays the piano. And that happens not just in that case, but it also happens with the rest of our body. So we did our strength, strategy, and mindset series. That was the last series we ended. And we did before that, we did the walking series. And I remember when I first got out there and started lifting, right, it was a chore. As a matter of fact, I had someone say to me, "Oh man, I thought you were breathing so hard." Right? But the more I did it, the easier, the simpler it became. And then my body started developing new ways of doing what I needed it to do. And so with muscle memory, the muscle memory happens when we provide enough times where those muscles have to be activated. And then after a while, we don't have to think about it anymore. That's the idea behind routine, behind making something a common and an automatic process that happens in our bodies, that happens in our health. And so when we talk about moving, the moving that we're doing has a lot of beneficial results, right? It's a lot of functions that we're doing, metabolism and weight and blood sugars and all of that. Also our minds, helps to clear our minds. We're out in nature and we've kind of gone through some of that. But here's the thing. The more you do it, the better it gets. The more you do it, the more the body remembers. The more you do it, the simpler it becomes. And then you don't have to think about it anymore. So when I watch my son play, he's not so much thinking about where to put his fingers now. He's thinking about the music that he's playing. And that's the beauty of doing it over and over and over. Now, he had to do like one key here, one note there, one chord there, one whatever there. The process of going through it was doing one small thing at a time. But after a while, his body now remembers. And as we are moving, metabolic optimization, come on, we're going somewhere. As we're moving, the small things that we do, one step, one lift, one stretch, one row, one swim, one at a time, and the body remembers. So the metabolic optimization happens because the body now doesn't have to process each note because we've been doing it. We've added to the memory, we've added to the muscle memory of the body. And so now when you go to exercise, now when you go to walk, now when you go to stretch or swim or whatever it is that you're doing during this time when we're walking, you get benefits that you could not have gotten when you first started. Right? So your body is now flexible. Your joints are now liquid. they're now lubricated. I said liquid, lubricated, right? And so you could lift more, you could expand more, you could swim longer. You have now increased the capacity of your lungs. You've optimized, you've pushed your body. And so the metabolic optimization that we talk about is not just about, hey, let me go walk and some I don't know, magical thing is happening. It is us taking each single step, each climb, and each of those is adding to the body's ability to do for us what we needed to do. So we are doing that. We are making the change. And every time you do it, you end up giving the body that memory of how to do, and it becomes more and more efficient at doing for us what we wanted to do. And so we no longer have to worry about where to put our fingers. Going back to the example of playing the piano, we just show up and the body says, okay, Cam, we've been doing this long enough now. We know how to do it. We can, and you may hear me getting a little bit more winded because I'm going up this small hill here in our community. So I think I might have to just not talk for a minute. Ooh. Almost to the top. So that actually has a skill. See, I'm trying to talk before I get to the top yet. So that's a skill I had to learn when we did our 100-day walk. Okay, so just getting to the top here. Ooh, let's take a break. We came from down there. Ooh. I see the curve down there in the road. But that was a skill I had to learn when I first started doing our walking. I got out and I was like, start talking and was doing and moving, and my lungs were like, no, you're not. Ooh. So I'm gonna take a brief pause here and walking. So it's been interesting over the course of our walking time and our exercising. So my body now is able to do things that I couldn't do before. So when I'm lifting, I can lift more. I can lift more, I can lift longer, I can lift more repeatedly. When I started doing the push-ups that we talked about, couldn't do that many. But now I'm doing 3-4 times a day. I'm doing push-ups because the body now is optimized and the body remembers. So that muscle memory is amazing. And so one of the things, and this is a good point. I guess let me pause here for a minute and just say this is a good example of two things. Number one, coming up the hill, you could probably get a better sense of the dip. Let's see, where right down there, right? It goes. You can't really, yeah, it goes down that way. But one of the most, well, two things I want to make a point there is, number one, that coming up the hill was challenging, and I could have stopped. Well, I couldn't have stopped because I don't have a car, right? I could have stopped, but no, we pushed through. Number one, and that is a good lesson of pushing through. So pushing through when you're strength training, when you're walking, sometimes you just have to push through it. Right? You take your time and you move it one step at a time. And then number two, I got to the top. I got to the top and I took a rest. I took a moment, right? I didn't just start, just go right back to it. And so sometimes when we push through those challenging times, we've got to take a moment and we've got to rest. Give our body the chance to recover so that we can keep going. Because when we do that, we have a better chance of succeeding when we continue on. Okay? All right? So those were two good practical examples that I wanted to pause and make mention of. But back to this concept of memory, muscle memory, and memory in the body. So just like our bodies remember, our brains may forget. All right, so we may show up and, hey, I don't remember how to do that, right? But the body remembers. So we may forget, but our body remembers. So when my son goes to the piano, he may not totally remember a particular song, but he gets on there and he starts playing. Guess what? His fingers still go where they're supposed to go because the memory is there. The memory has been built in, and the memory is still existing. And so when we are in our spaces, when we've done what we need to do, when we've exercised, we've moved, we've eaten well, we've rested, the optimization happens because our body still remembers. We've created an environment within our system, within ourselves, that's conducive for optimization. So metabolic optimization, once we get that ball going, that ball rolls, that ball continues. And this is not to say that we stop, but the amount of energy we have to put in then goes down. And so our body will continue to do for us what we've trained it to do. And that is so exciting because it means that all I've got to do is what? That's right. All I got to do is start, y'all. All I got to do is get on. Pick up, get out, lift, row, swim, stretch, whatever it is that I'm doing, all I've got to do is start. And you know, we talked about the power of the first step, the almost step, all of that the last time we were out, last week. Several of our episodes were about those things. But all we got to do is start. All we got to do is move. Metabolic optimization via exercise happens. The muscle memory happens. The flexibility happens. And we get the benefit of all of that. So I'm excited that you're here. Excited that you took one more time to come join me as we walk, as we move, and we move into this part of our lives. This is a place where you get to come where you get to plug in. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just jump in and let's do it together. All right, we'll see you at the next episode of Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. Bye-bye. Thank you for being a part of Move Today. Remember, transformation isn't built in hype. It's built in consistent steps. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Keep showing up, keep stacking your wins, and keep moving forward with us. This is Move.